today's video, I'm trying to see just how easy macro can be by taking simple handheld shots just like these. Sometimes when I come out doing my macro photos, I have a kit bag full of things, but today I wanted to keep it really simple. So instead of bringing my lights and my tripods and sliders and anything else, I've just got my R5 with my 35mm macro on it. This is a great lens because it's super light, it's small, and it's quite cheap. Certainly a lot cheaper than my 100mm macro. And that makes this an amazing system just for being able to snap around handheld. So I can walk around these amazing woodland tracks where I am. And if I find something, I can just point my camera and take a snap. It's a nice patch of sunlight coming through and hitting these leaves. I've already seen a few insects and things on here. Quite like these little flowers. f1.8, really shallow depth of field, 1600th of a second. You can probably tell that it's quite dark on my face right now. That's because it is. It's because I'm underneath a lot of dense trees, but as you can also see, as I'm walking, I'm going through patches of light where suddenly it's very bright. That can make things very tricky for your photos because you're having to adjust your exposure, but it's often those patches of sunlight where you'll find more insects. Just found a little butterfly. Get my camera in without it getting upset. But I'm also looking for the lighter patches because I'm just shooting handheld without a tripod. When I go into the shadow areas, it actually starts to get so dark that I need to start using much slower shutter speeds. And when I'm just hand holding and taking burst modes and moving my camera, I'm going to end up with blurry shots. Whereas in the sunlight, I can shoot with much faster shutter speeds and I'm going to get everything nice and crisp. Also just really like finding patterns and color contrasts, and in this case, got the lovely brown of this wood against the vivid, vibrant green of these leaves. I mean, it's not the most fascinating of shots. You know what, I'm going to go f7 100th of a second. I actually really like this little scene here because we've got three parts. We've got the nice sort of vivid shiny green leaves of this ivy here. We've got this dividing brown line of the wood, and then we've got these other leaves. Not sure what these are, but they're catching the sun quite nicely. Again, I'm just handheld, top down, f7, focusing on the leaves. I actually tried filming this video yesterday. I went out for a lovely, well, what I hoped would be a lovely hike. An hour or so drive out of Edinburgh. Gosh, I'm dark again. And again, I've just taken my 35mm with me, just wanting to get some like easy snaps on my walk. But actually what happened is that I had the most torrential downpour. I got soaked to the skin, incredibly cold, and decided to turn around and go and sit in a coffee shop instead. And I had a lovely time. But as a result, it means I've had to come out today, camera in hand, and try and basically do the video that I couldn't do yesterday. And that's fine, because it's midsummer, everything's all green, verdant and lovely, and who wouldn't want to come out with their camera today? Turning my attention back to this sunny part, because I'm hoping that if I stand around for long enough, things are going to start flying in. I mean, it's a big patch of nettle, so I'm not really sure what to expect on here. But usually, I find patience pays off. If I sort of keep relatively still, no sudden movements, then things do tend to start to move back in. And because I'm just handheld, I've not got to negotiate a tripod into place, I can hopefully react quite quickly if something comes along. Like this fly. Back to manual focus, closest focus point, f3.5 this time. I'm just moving the camera forwards, There are some even tinier things that I'm seeing on these leaves, but to be honest, with a 35mm macro lens, that isn't giving me enough reach. I would really need my 100, maybe even my 100 with an extension tube on it so I can focus even closer. And I'm really enjoying how free and easy I'm able to shoot with a 35, but some shots I have to just accept I'm not going to be able to get. Might be weird to say, but I do have a favourite log. Well, logs. These ones here I've shot quite a few videos at before. I've done ones with wasps, done some with mushrooms, all kinds of things. And today walking past, I've noticed that firstly, everything around it is really like bursting with life. It's so green, there's flowers, there's all kinds of things here. But I have noticed on the log is one mushroom. It's quite small, it's poking up. I'm going to sit on the log. It's quite damp because it's been raining a lot at the moment. But again, I'm going to get my camera in place. So for this shot, I'm trying to get the camera as low to the log as possible. And I'm going to go at f2. I want really, really shallow depth of field. I want the foreground of the log to fall out of focus. I want the background to fall out of focus. I really like this scene. Really love that by getting low, we've got such a lovely bouquet around this tiny little mushroom. You know, it's only a couple of centimeters high. But I want to make sure that it is nice and sharp because I'm at f2 and there's a chance that it might not be. So I am just going to try and focus stack this a little bit by focusing a little in front of the mushroom. And I'm going to start shooting, and as I do, I'm going to turn my focus ring. As I've been sitting here, just seen down in this undergrowth, these two minuscule little mushrooms. Now, I think these might be a bit too small for me to be able to get with this 35mm lens, but I'm going to try. It's actually this scene here that I've got, I've just been able to get focus on them, but we've got all this other kind of material around the camera as like extreme foreground and in the background. So using this wide open aperture means we get lovely out of focus effects going on. So I'm at f2, again I'm manually focusing right on these mushroom caps. Looks like I'm a little too close to get it in focus, so yeah, there we go. Let's move back. And I really like how that looks in the back of camera, so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to piece something quite nice together. Again, I just think it shows how easy it is to get these sorts of shots. You don't need a tripod setup, you don't need a lighting setup, you don't need the best 100mm macro lens. I'm just shooting handheld on an arguably budget 35mm macro, and I'm already quite pleased with some of the shots I'm getting. And also, notice from the same sitting position, lovely pink flower. Again, I'm all about the bokeh here, so I'm at f2, manually focusing. I love these types of scenes where you just get one flower by itself with all this other stuff in the background, because by using that wide open aperture, you can get these lovely airy shots where that subject just pops out of the frame. I was actually just sitting here shooting my outro, which I'm sure I'll come to later, but I've just been trying holding my camera underneath these nettle leaves and focusing on it, using that background to really go out of focus. The light's coming through the leaf. I'm at f2.5. Loads of hoverflies going around here, and I really want to get one actually sort of hovering. So I'm hoping that my handheld technique might help me get what I want. This plant's moving a lot. It's the only issue. They've all left, but but usually if you stand still long enough, they'll come back. At least that's what I'm hoping. There's one. Where is it going to go? All I probably got there is 1,000 photos of nothing. Well, that probably brings me to an end of today's video. I really do hope that you've enjoyed seeing how I would go about taking these kinds of simple macro shots, because I've really enjoyed taking them. It's not about coming out with loads of kit weighing you down, setting up tripods, setting up macro rails and lighting systems. It's just one lens, you hold it in your hand and you can react whenever you see something. But if you have enjoyed this video, then do please make sure to hit that like button and of course consider subscribing to my channel if you don't already, and I will see you next time.